This one is one of those videos that got recommended to me ages ago, and it's been on my to-watch list, but because it's like 30-minute video, I never kind of got the chance to watch it. I was like, anyway, the game that outsold the Halo franchise and killed a man. That's the title of the video. Let's get to it.
The year is 2005, and two Canadian teens, Alexander and Damani, are taking their dad's Mercedes out for a good old spin while listening to Disturbed at an unenjoyable level. Ooh, hey, this is sick. Now, like most gamers their age, they're cruising around in search of pink slips, and it's not going so well for them. So they figure it's probably just because they don't have enough anime stickers on their car.
Did he actually use pink slips in a sentence? Wow, that goes on my bingo list, I guess.
But decals are expensive, and reckless endangerment is cheap. Feeling the adrenaline rush through them, they reach speeds of over 140 kilometers an hour in an area only designated for 60. Which I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not gay, so I don't know how to read European units. I'm sure that's fast though. But despite Canada's national
I'm like, as a European, I just want to facepalm on that. Like, that's not even funny. And second, I'm like, you can read numbers, and a number being more than double than the other number, right? Yeah.
Sport being drunk driving, the teens were surprisingly sober as they lost all control of their vehicle, T-boning an oncoming taxi cab, killing its driver instantly.
Fellas, have you still got your foreskins?
Hey guys, I'm in New York City just hanging out.
What the fuck question?
Realizing that they have just committed
What
murder,
is this
they at least have the
video?
decency to do the honorable thing and immediately run away from the scene of the crime, reportedly pulling in Assassin's Creed, trying to blend in with the growing crowd around the accident.
It must have been the wind.
But they fumbled the stealth section and were immediately arrested. And you're probably wondering why I'm telling you any of this. Because the police reports, when they were later investigating the wreckage, they found in the Mercedes, on the front seat, an empty case for Need for Speed Most Wanted.
That is way too convenient.
They entered it into the court evidence, cited it as the primary motivation for the crime, to which the two suspects pled guilty.
The fuck? Excuse me, what? What? Huh? That is so stupid and dumb and illogical, and what?
But they were rich, so nothing actually happened to them at all. Now word gets out, and parents do the first thing parents always do in stuff like this, and immediately blame the video game instead of the two who committed manslaughter, worried that this game, along with many others, are going to turn their kids into murderous beasts who are going to end up...
You know, I never heard the story, and I loved Need for Speed. My dad loves Need for Speed. We'd play it together. Yeah.
But either way, this game contributed to the growing heat of overprotective parental units worldwide on just what effect these
Are you sure it's worldwide? Oh, Christian mothers against video games. Man, you really had to dig deep for that. 3K likes. Damn.
video games were having on their kids. The one question still remains. Out of all of the racing games it could have been, why this one? The answer is actually pretty
Banger
simple.
music?
It's the same reason this game outsold every single title in the Halo franchise. You see, unlike its other lighthearted racing siblings, this game wasn't about being the most accurate or having the most tricked out car or being the best. This game was about being the fucking worst.
I don't know, man. There was something about the music and just pushing the pedal that was great. Modern Warfare, let's go.
Need for Speed's back, bitch, and this time reckless endangerment is a checkbox. Property damage is a score. Gas stations at the Twin Towers to your jet plane as you become just as dangerous as every white girl who just got her driver's license.
Bruh. What is that? Oh. At least here, every time women get licenses, they tend to go very slow, and it's like the opposite. They're the most careful drivers.
Thanks, Daddy, for the car. Oops.
Oh.
My bad. Sorry.
Jesus Christ. It's funny to see the stereotypes that are happening. like how different it is, right? Here, women basically kind of like they're being called the super safe turtle drivers. Like you're like just super slow, and everyone hates it because they hold up the traffic. And apparently here, well, apparently they drive so reckless that daddy has to pay a lot of money. What the
But before even
so
any of
different.
that, aside from all the funny, goofy cutaways that kind of made me like a month late on.
Holy moly, editing cuts. Like, okay, I know a lot of you can't appreciate just how much it is, but oh my god, that makes me appreciate this video even more. What the fuck is that? So this, right, this is the soundtrack. This is like the overall him talking, and these are effects and sounds and introductions and corrections and edited parts and probably sound effects and extra sound effects and other things tuning in. And above is all images. Like the track with a lot of images and cuts and everything. It's a lot. This is a lot for editing. Like, even my videos, not the ones where I'm reacting, but the ones where I'm like doing actual original content, have quite a lot of like cuts and jumps and stuff, but I never went this far. That's impressive.
Getting this thing out to you guys.
Oh, fuck!
I am being dead serious when I say that this game's soundtrack was the reason my booger-eating, snot-nose wiping on my
See, he agrees with me. The freaking soundtrack. It's like, it literally, the best thing about Need for Speed was the freaking music that went with it.
long sleeve shirt, 10-year-old impressionable ass wanted to pursue a career in the music industry 15 years after the fact.
And forever dressed like a douchebag.
All because this game showed me that band when I was 10 and cemented some
Avenged
neurological connection
Sevenfold,
that'll forever
damn.
be 20% of my personality. Which probably makes no sense to any of you watching, so let me give this thing some context. You see, the early 2000s was a hallmark year for edginess. Back then, it was cool to be cool, and self-awareness was at a refreshing all-time low. And it's still the Wild West of game design. There's no rules yet. Paths are
Wait, self-awareness ever went from an all-time low? I'm pretty sure it's still bottom of the barrel.
being formed, genres are being created, and companies are willing to throw anything at the wall to see what sticks. And I mean anything. But oddly enough, it's also a time where we're seeing unprecedented expansion in graphical fidelity, and games are appearing far more visceral, and it's proving very effective with younger audiences. And if it's one company that's in touch with the youth, it's not the Catholic Church, it's EA. So they set out to create a game to capture that angsty atmosphere of the current pop culture. A very risky move, unless you have developers that are in the know. Which they do not nowadays.
Oh my god, the diss! I love it! Vauclains, thank you so much for the sub, I appreciate it.
You're the designated buyer of the pizza. What can I say?
2 years before Most Wanted's release, the head of EA Black Box calls his team with a new idea for a video game. And I'm assuming the call sounded something like this. Hey, what's up? I didn't know the DS could take phone calls. Okay, you know how
background.
every fat white kid's been listening to Slipknot lately? Oh yeah, we've all been listening to it here.
Uh-huh.
Well, most of us. Okay, we can't afford that, but what if we just took Bullet for My Valentine and turned it into a video game? What?
Man.
What does that even mean?
What does that even mean? Oh man, oh no. I was gonna say, like, I recognize all those bands and I know all those bands, and I'm there going like, oh boy, I wonder how many people don't know the bands.
I don't know. I was kind of hoping you come up with something. I mean, come on, we made up Street Football just so we had the excuse to use Korn and Nas in the soundtrack for something. On the same
Man,
song.
they mentioned Korn.
Also, hey, since when did we start hiring women? Oh yeah, I thought the same thing too. I think it's just green screen footage. I shot like 10 spitballs at her and like nothing happened. I mean, come on, it's 2003. Girls can't be gamers. I was ready to drive her out of the company too. Cars. We can do cars. Yeah, how about that? We'll just do cars, but make them badass. Oh shit. Fast forward a few months before the release of the game, and they've got a couple trailers to test the waters at E3. The waters were very receptive.
Let's go! Copyright system, please don't strike me!
This is a brilliant marketing tactic by EA for several reasons. They focused on making the game feel like a playable Linkin Park game instead of it just being another racing game. This wasn't targeted to racing fans, but to everyone. And 2, it was all recorded within the game's debug camera, the same thing I used to make the intro of the video, meaning everything you're seeing on screen is exactly what you'll be doing one-to-one in the game. This is how you sell your games.
Yeah.
And I mean literally one for one. They even took the notorious color grading piss filter and slapped it on the final version.
You're in.
In its defense though, this was a very common design aesthetic in most earlier 2000s music videos.
You know, the first time I heard "you're in," not urine, and I'm like, what? Hold on, brain. Correct yourself.
So it sort of fits the theme. And it sure didn't hurt sales. Based off its presentation, it still ended up selling 16 million units. I figured the franchise we'll never see again. And just for reference, that's on par with Elden Ring.
Keep in mind, this is a racing game from 2005.
I feel it's sad that we need to go like, you need a reference for how many copies it sold. Like, we do. Oh.
And it slaps just as hard as Doom.
It does. It does. Need for Speed was so badass. So fun.
If that didn't do anything for you, you gotta get your T levels checked. But one of the more notorious things this game did differently wasn't just the cops, or the piss filter, or the soundtrack, but it's their kind of bizarre obsession to focus on this little thing. See this ridiculous wing, the goofy side exhaust, the absolute barren interior. If you're a normal person and don't give a shit about cars, that's fine. You're probably looking at this thinking it's an average Craigslist BMW Target.
I'm feeling called out because I was like, I couldn't give a flying fudge about the cars. All I cared was the music and to go fast, and whatever the slider showed me was better. Oh.
Good for dude bros who want to impress their hot stepsister. But this is actually a real-life cheat made by BMW so they could weasel their way into the 24 Hours of Le Mans, a prestigious race where only manufacturers can race production road cars and engines. But BMW at the time knew that their dude bro stepsister impressing M3s were not going to make the cut. So guess what BMW did? They queued up some Van Oss, Kevin McLeod sneaky ass music, snuck their way into a facility, took one of their BMW M3s and gutted it, took everything out. And while no one was looking, just sort of tripped and accidentally custom built an entire racing V8 engine, transmission, exhaust just for this car. The exhaust doesn't even go under the car. It goes through the passenger side. That's how ridiculous this thing is.
Oh my god, what?
This M3 made rocket ships jealous. And if you have any common sense, you're probably thinking that that's illegal. And every other car manufacturer said the same exact thing, complaining to the race officials that,
And that has really ruffled the Porsche feathers.
So BMW said, screw it, we're gonna make 10 of these things and sell them for $300,000 to label the car as a production car to take advantage of a loophole that would, of course, get patched out immediately the next year.
Oh my god! What the? That's brilliant. I love loopholes, man. I hate them and I love them at the same time. Oh.
But for this one, BMW was able to race and they slaughtered.
They feel this car is not within the spirit of the regulations. Whatever the case may be, Frederick Ekblom used that power effectively yesterday to claim the pole position.
Crazy, man. Absolutely crazy.
And those 10 cars they had to make, well, they ended up only making 6 of them, and 3 of them were ever sold. And you play as the lucky fuck that gets one, and not the road car version. You get the race car version. Which is, by the way, very non-street legal, making it the perfect candidate to
non-street legal, of course. Of course people are gonna like flock to that as well.
set this game's tone. Only problem being is you're not going to be the one who drives it for the rest of it, because unlike any other racing game, this one's got a story. And this time, it's personal.
How's your car running?
That's a really weird thing to ask right before a race.
He's dangerous. Be careful. He'll swap paint if he has to. Hey! Stay focused. He's rolling on a lot of power, so wait for him to shift first.
Oh
Got it, wait for him to shift first.
What the fuck does that mean? Yep, this game's got real live-action cutscenes.
Here is the number 15 guy on the blacklist.
And Death Stranding wished it had acting this good.
And the Oscar award goes to Cool Sunglasses Guy.
I'm like,
Now don't.
I don't remember all of that. I'm like, yeah, all I remember is vroom vroom. Badass music and gotta go fast. How did we ever think this was cool? It was cool. It is cool. The fucking music is still cool. What do you mean? Just vroom vroom.
Don't let these high quality cutscenes fool you. The story here is actually pretty good. So let me just wrap this whole thing up for you.
Also, still pretty lady. What do you mean? It's kind of like you look at pretty lady, okay, and you're like vroom vroom, okay.
The story begins as a lone driving prodigy, making waves in a new city as you top frag all the races with the locals. It's here where we're introduced to our new friends, enemies, new girlfriend, who's definitely not a cop, and then we finally meet the head of the police department known as Cross.
This.
Not women, hot cars, what more do you want? Exactly.
I'd like to take a little peek under the hood.
Since we're new to the city, he tells us he's trying to end street racing from the inside out, but we're driving a very illegal car, so he tries to arrest us on the spot before returning to some more important business.
Now get out of the car.
Attention Patrol Division. We've had multiple reports of Mexicans. Apparently there's just a lot of Mexicans. If we can have all available units, please respond. After earning enough rep, you finally get to challenge the lowest member on the blacklist who acts as this form of gatekeeper named Razor. But here's the catch. Whenever you race a blacklist member, the winner takes the loser's car. Now obviously you've got nothing to worry about because, I mean, come on. So of course you take him up on the challenge.
I know your ride doesn't have a chance.
Sometimes his script writing makes me wonder, like, what year of funny, what's his funny bow? Like, the fuck is wrong with you, man?
Oh shit, she's right.
Mia, our wonderful girlfriend who recognizes our impeccable driving skill, and is definitely not a cop, pushes us to do the race. But just like BMW when they were making this car, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Razor cuts your oil lines before the race, which could have been pretty dangerous. That could have caused an accident.
Who can I sue? Try police department.
You lose the race, lose the car, and wind up in jail. But fortunately, you had Saul Goodman representing you in court, and he pleaded that since you didn't have a car, how could you have street raced? I'm not joking, that's actually canon. Now, despite not having a car, Mia still sticks by her side, because she's definitely not a cop, and informs us that Razor used our car to become the most wanted driver in all of Rockport. And to get it back, we're gonna have to work our way up the blacklist to take these guys out one by one. So naturally, after losing your $300,000 car, you buy the second best thing to get your revenge. A Chevy Cobalt. Unless you're Asian, which you get the minivan. The best part of the whole thing is that the main character doesn't...
Interesting. So each variant of the game sold, depending on where it was sold, we had different starting cars. I know that we had different variants in some games, but like, I don't know if that's actually true, if he's just making another joke, which is like very hard sometimes.
Exist. You are the main character, and during the cutscenes, you got to do all of the racing. By playing the game instead of just watching it, it allows you to get a feel of that end game performance before it inevitably gets ripped out from under you.
Hey, there's something wrong with your ride.
That's not the protagonist's car that was stolen, that's your car that was stolen. So sweat, if you don't get this back to me, I'm gonna tell Miss Matthews. Now, sure, these cutscenes are the most dated 2000s thing I've ever seen, right? But I will fight anyone that says they're not entertaining. I mean, come on, the way they take main characters and make them background characters is just heroic. And I don't even know if this was good CGI for 2005, so I'll write that one off. Its commitment to being over the top just sells it so well, as opposed to their latest attempts.
Yep. Destroy those wheels.
Thank you. Spread those tires.
Yes. You think you're ready for that?
While these guys are all obnoxious and you want to punch them all in the face, that's the point. We're not here to like these guys, which makes defeating them all the more satisfying. And the game knows when to dial it back a bit. For each blacklist member, they could have easily had all of them do voice lines and dialogue, and they purposely chose not to. Instead, you only get a short bio and a showdown clip of their driving style, which makes you wonder who these people really are behind their tinted windshields. The ambiguity of these—
It does? Bruh, I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't care less who they were, only that I'm gonna win and move on. I'm like, oh god.
These guys is a welcome change of pace from—
I remember none of them either, I'll be honest.
But aside for the intro and ending, all the cutscenes go away. All dialogue from here on out comes solely in the form of text messages and phone calls via your trusty singular device? Which is probably the real reason for that level 5 heat.
Stop texting and driving. You can cause a car accident.
As we make our way up the blacklist.
Damn.
Speaking of which, If you want to be on my own personal blacklist while supporting the channel, well, Patreon links are down below, where every dollar donated goes right back into me buying more Sharpie paint pens. As we climb up the corporate ladder, there's brewing gossip surrounding us as the player. Razor himself starts to wonder if we're undercover police based on how quickly we've been tearing apart the most wanted blacklist. And honestly, the only reason this story works is that it just kind of makes sense. Listen, I don't like cops as much as the next guy, but at least the game isn't trying to pull mental gymnastics to somehow make these underground street racer minorities the good guy against the police bad or some bullshit. Most Wanted just lets you be the bad guy.
It's like a modern
and
day
turn your
one.
city into Detroit
I'm
2.0. Everything just kind of makes way more sense. Cross is just trying to keep his city safe. Razor's just a douche trying to get laid and make money through the underground street racing scene. Mia sticks by her side because she sees you're killing it and is making money doing side bets off of you. And is definitely not a cop. Fuck!
But how's the gameplay, Liam? You balding motherfucker.
It's remarkable how many racing games take one of the most exhilarating experiences known to man and make it boring. And Need for Speed fixed that in a time period where these games were the ones on the shelves.
Honestly,
now, in this
like
video essay, I'm going to be talking about how the way this car leaps off of rooftops is reminiscent
10-hour gaming essay.
The fact that you can't go too fast is actually a metaphor for the life. You don't hit the wall. Just gotta get back on the road.
The fucking editing, man. It
This game
hurts
is
my
fast.
ears.
Like stupid fast.
It
Which is
hurts
crazy to
my
think that they
ears
got that
so
speed out of a
much.
GameCube. As well as every other console, including the DS.
Gotta go fast. Exactly, the Need for Speed.
Okay, maybe not all versions, but it's still better than the Game Boy. Why does this have better music? Okay, if you ignore those two versions, the speed in this game was unhinged. Combine that with the touchy handling of trying to navigate spike strips and roadblocks at 200 miles an hour is a adrenaline rush few games have managed to give. Even with the tightened up steering, the speed in the game was so difficult to handle that they had to introduce the speed breaker, which is absolutely vital to avoid spike strips and lets you play Wii Sports a bit more effectively. Nice, officer down!
Nice.
But then there's the actual racing portion of the game. And it's pretty boring. Honk shoe, go from point A to point B against a bunch of nameless, whacked NPC cars, rinse, repeat. It's not that fun. And some of these take so fucking long. You have to complete a certain amount of these things for every single blacklist racer, but the game does let you choose which races to complete. The meta being you just pick the ones with the shortest routes to get to the real reason people are playing this game.
What do you mean? I played them for
This is
the
where things get fun. In older Need for Speeds, they used to use the map as just a way to get you from one race to the other. But with these pursuits, the whole thing opens up to be one giant kid's playmat for you to destroy. The real core gameplay here is achieving these pursuit milestones, which allow you to challenge harder and harder blacklist members, ranging from taking out a certain amount of police officers, racking up property damage, surviving a certain duration of police pursuit, etc. Now, starting out with the police, it's baby mode in Heats 1 and 2, getting you used to the idea of how these things work.
I like the baby song on
Pull over, you're gonna be a big trouble.
You should just play GTA.
Every cop in the vicinity thinks you're a
He
Mexican with a
probably
broken
likes
taillight. It gets brutal. Slip up once and they will box you in, instantly shutting down this thing without mercy. The AI will even start to predict the routes you like to take and will set up roadblocks, spike strips, and even throw jump scares at you. The longer the pursuit, the greater the bounty, but with each second passing by, your heat level rises, putting you at risk of a stage 4 chase in a car that could barely handle 3. The risk of backup arriving constantly puts you under this tension as you're given windows to cash out early or gamble all your progress at the potential for getting enough bounty to last 4 or 5 blacklist requirements.
I
But the
see,
final
so
form of
that's
these
his
pursuits
fun
when you hit
and
level 5 and
preference.
Cross
I
gets
got it.
personally involved, where it becomes you versus every single tax dollar available to the city of Rockport.
He needs that extra stimulus and like the timer isn't enough. Interesting.
Hey, I've seen government projects that are less successful than this. This shit just gets ridiculous.
Like as fun as this was, right? As fun as just smashing things and destroying things. This was not the main point of the game for me. Not at all.
With a litany of destructive objects to KO the 5-0. Oncoming traffic can serve as makeshift roadblocks. Hiding holds speed up cooldowns. Cover areas can throw off helicopters. And Burger King. But most importantly, you have your police scanner, which is, I think, one of the best game mechanics ever since the Gears of War quick action reload.
My screen shows multiple units close
The old Cyberpunk system versus the new system. Wait, they revamped the system? I didn't know that.
Nice on!
I felt like the cop system, like when I played Cyberpunk, I played it after they got the DLC and everything. The cop system was almost non-existent. It felt really lame.
The police voice acting has no right to be this good. There are over 13,000 individual voice lines for this feature of the game alone, custom tailored to each specific road,
On Chase Road, on Camden Tunnel Road, balls deep in your mom.
to each car with each paint job.
Ah, that's a 2000 joke if I've ever heard one.
Ah, it's white, stupid!
And it wasn't done for aesthetics. They did this so you could predict exactly what's going to happen in the pursuit just by listening to the radio. You essentially have audible wall hacks. They'll radio every single tactic they're going to put in front of you.
That's cool, honestly.
Rainbow Road.
Can't say I've ever noticed that.
1032 Blue Shell.
However, while it's nice to know what side the spike strips are going to be on and when roadblocks are coming, it becomes essential to listen in when you're trying to actually evade the entire pursuit itself.
Last seen westbound near the financial district. Wanted to be set around the area. Coordination will be on attention.
See, the goal of these pursuits is to eventually break visual contact and outlast the cooldown phase. But up until that point, you're never in the clear. The second you enter cooldown mode, you need to flee your last seen location before the helicopters or units search for you. However, bump into any roadside obstacles like cars or railings and they will rat you out to the police on your last known 6. You have to listen carefully to your scanner as they'll announce exactly where they're looking and the AI will pop in where you least want them to. They'll even call out specific roads and locations, so you have to be familiar with the terrain of the map. All while this massively dynamic soundtrack intensifies the shit out of the whole thing. There's so
Bro, I don't remember any of this. I've played like all the Need for Speed games and I'm like, I don't remember that. I just played them and it worked out. Quite literally, I'm like, yeah. To be fair, I was pretty young.
a whole separate soundtrack just for the police
Makes sense
chases.
that I don't remember.
Just like the radio, there's specific cues for just about everything going on here.
Or
From almost being
realized
caught to
everything.
committing different infractions,
Or neural
even depending on
mechanics.
how fast you're going.
Pursuit intensity. Oh man, this still looks super fucking fun. This still looks fucking
I
fun.
swear, this game feels like I'm playing a movie, and it's a cross between Jason Bourne, Fast and Furious, and Spy Kids. It's so intense that it, and I rarely ever say this, but it causes the lean. You know what the lean is.
Oh, wow.
Few games ever cause the lean. This game
Oh wow, he brought up the lean. Holy shit. I'll be honest, I agreed. Nothing more, agreed.
causes the lean. Because of what happens if you get caught. Get busted in a pursuit and you'll lose all the bounty and milestone progress you've made during it, and pay a comically small fine comparative to the damage you've been causing. But that's like whatever. The worst part is, you'll wind up with an impound strike against the car. Get 3 of these and your car goes bye-bye. You can eventually buy it back from the police, because they're retarded, but the money in this game is super stingy, and the time it takes to do the races to earn it all back, you're literally better off restarting the entire game's career. There are ways around it, and you can earn markers that make penalties less strict, but that comes at the opportunity cost of winning boss cars or certain unique performance upgrades you can't get anywhere else, which are way more valuable in this game. The meta here was always to just turn off the autosave, and if you get busted, just restart the console. But all the time you spent building up this pursuit will still get lost, and some of the races will force the police on you, and once it's over,
I never restarted the game. Holy shit. That's insane.
you have to finish the pursuit. You don't get to magically save the game. So if you restart the console, you've got to not only redo the pursuit, but also the long-ass race that you didn't even want to do in the first place. You don't want to get caught. Technically, you can change the appearance of the car before a race that has police in it, which would lower the heat level. But I'm not going to sacrifice my drip just so I can lower my... Okay, that's pretty hard. But it takes forever to get that heat level back up to a point where it's substantial enough to even earn the bounty and milestones back, which wastes even more time because now you gotta wait for the heat to go back up. You're probably gonna accidentally outrun the cops in first gear anyway. Oh, come on! I'm not pulling away from Dick! I'm going
my
the speed
God.
limit. I can't be any more conspicuous. Oh, come on. And I forgot to mention, if you get caught and pay the fine, your heat resets anyways. You have to get it all back. And odds are you're never gonna be able to get a second car that's gonna be as
God.
fast as your primary. Sure, you can win boss cards that have like advanced upgrades, but you're probably just gonna end up selling them so you can pay for your better car. While all these downsides may seem pretty severe, it's what gave these pursuits the—
Selling them? Excuse me, we're collectors. What do you mean, selling them? What? My hoarder self cannot.
tension that make them so adrenaline-filled. This game really does feel like the Dark Souls. No, you can't just keep comparing shit to Dark Souls. That's cheating. You also can't equate open worlds to Breath of the Wild either. The biggest downgrade of the series, though, is that unlike the game before,
Very
which allowed
true,
you to
though.
customize the fucking speakers and engine neon in the car, now you're just stuck with anywhere between 2 to 5 body kits that make it look like it was stung by a bee. I don't care how tacky it looks. I want my neon back. I need my car to look like a—
We're here to have an intervention. Don't you dare. Leave my cars alone. Don't you dare. I'm the type of person that just didn't make their car look cool. Cause I don't care about that. If it worked and it was efficient and it won me shit, good. Remember I told you people compare stuff to DS all the time? Yes.
gaming keyboard.
They really
Speaking
should.
of which, what happened to that whole revenge plot thing? After beating enough races and driving a car that definitely has higher stats than the one you started with, we finally get our chance at revenge. But this time, we've double-checked our oil lines. In a surprisingly unceremonious ending, we beat the race and meet him at the finish line, except, the police knew we were going to be doing this and surround the entire scene. Turns out Mia was trying to avoid jail time by taking down the entire blacklist. Damn, if only I'd known ahead of time.
I've got a beautiful little surprise that's going to tear you guys apart from the inside out.
That could have meant anything. Fuck you, I never picked up on that as a kid.
Looks like we're not getting
I like that because I'm like, I don't fucking remember the story. It had the story and I'm just like, I just went zoom zoom vroom vroom as a kid. Man, it's so weird looking at the game as an adult, like from different eyes. It's just like, what the heck?
that car back. Unless...
Hi, Johnny.
Where's the other guy?
He got away.
Despite being a traitorous she throws us our keys as Cross arrives on the scene. What? It's now time for one final pursuit, and this time it's heat level 6 with armored Corvettes.
Dun 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 dun!
Why not? You've got to survive the hardest pursuit in the game as you finally get your BMW back in one of the most iconic scenes of Need for Speed history.
I want every single unit after the guy.
Everyone?
It's now time to put everything you've learned to the test. Within 1 minute of racing, Cross personally calls you on your singular device.
We've been able to pick up every blacklist racer thanks to you.
And offers to wipe the slate clean if we turn ourselves in. I wish they had made this an alternate ending, but instead if you get busted, you just restart the pursuit from the beginning. You have to beat it. But after about 5 minutes, you'll notice that something's different, and it's not the armored Corvettes. It's impossible to enter cooldown mode, at least until we get a call from Mia.
Look, don't hang up.
What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. You've reached the voicemail of a guy who doesn't give a shit. Listen, we'll do the couples therapy thing after.
Informing us that the safe houses are no longer safe as Cross knew about them the entire time. We only have one option for escape. Earlier on the game, you may have noticed one section of the map seemed a bit peculiar, and that is the one road that was blocked off by construction equipment the entire time. But apparently it's all cleared, and there's an unfinished bridge that leads out of town. Our car is just fast enough to make the jump, and that's our only means of escape. Honestly, the hardest part about this whole thing is getting to the location itself, as the map won't allow the GPS to track it. I like to think of this as the game's way of testing you on how well you know the roads,
Honestly.
but you just use the minimap. After slamming into about 10,000 rhinos,
I like
we finally
the
make our way to the
minimap
bridge in
was
which we
good
jump
enough
over it, and
for stuff.
a bunch of cops just fucking die. In one final scene, we see our rap sheet being edited by Cross, as he changes our federal wanted level from outside of Rockport to being nationwide. And then the game just cuts to this weird, like, congrats screen, which completely ruins the tone of what was going on here, but whatever. But where the game ends, the mods begin. Since this whole shebang was released in 2005,
Wait.
you're basically...
I did not know there are mods.
basically just a notepad file and a whatever this thing is, into turning this game into whatever the hell you want it to be. And I personally think this game is twice as fun with unlimited nitrous. I will die on that hill. Hell, with one file you can even make the game run on a 32 by 9 monitor with zero problems.
Most games can't even figure out how to play 16x9 on this thing.
The best mod, though, allows for even crazier police pursuits
Holy
up to heat level
shit.
10, with each heat adding way more intensity, car speed, and a bunch of custom options that make the game just way more fun and replayable.
Oh, hey, it's Cross.
What the fuck?
Oh, you're all Cross.
Since then, Need for Speed tried to do a remake of the game. It was the most soulless cash grab I've ever seen. They just slapped on the label and then just made something that had nothing to do with the original. It had none of the aesthetic, charm, story, none of it.
What is this
No
like?
piss filter.
Like Bollywood?
Shut up, bitch!
No, just
They tried to make a remake? Really? Huh? Man, I really do live under a rock.
does this game stack up to anything in 2022? Yeah, actually, I think it does. This is one of like the only games I have ever tried to get gameplay footage of while I'm editing it, and then I forget I'm trying to record something, and I end up just playing the game. That never happened. And since you can't buy it anywhere, I think it's a pretty good bargain on Google Drive. This is a game I think a lot of people would enjoy experiencing. Because this game was fucking pissed, and few games have managed to capture that feeling of teenaged angst, like hitting the nitrous button to the drop of Skinny Man.
Hey, let's go!
John? John?
Timing your nitro
you're
to
pissing yourself
music.
again.
If it's one thing to learn from this whole thing, it's keep that street racing in the game and not in real life. So we would do a crazy thing like that. And consider picking up a Patreon or channel membership. It helps me not live off of Costco hot dogs and will allow me to justify spending this amount of time on like a Dishonored review. Well, I hope you had just as much fun watching that video as I did making it. I'm Guy Fieri and you've been watching Manly Reviews. See you all next time.
This is my first time watching one of his videos. His humor sometimes I'm just like, what the heck? Is more unhinged 2000 humor than I've heard in a very long time. That being said, he made me want to go play Need for Speed. It is not a good thing. His humor is all over the place, yeah. This is the perfect thing right there. Yeah, exactly. Like, look at that. What more do you want except the vroom, vroom, brrrr, what more do you want? That's perfect. That's fantastic. All he wanted was number go bigger. Nice. Nice.